All right, we are live. And man, they got me, Jose. They got me. I am Jason Burgos. You know me, MMA stuff. I'm here with the man, the myth, the legend. And if you don't know him now, you'll know him. The man known as Stickman, but his government is Jose Maldonado. I mean, Jose, we'll start with the main event of WWE Fastlane in our post-show podcast here, and we'll go back. But they got me, man. They really got me, and I feel I may still be got, and I'm hoping there's still more to this. It can't end there. It can't. The Daniel Bryan yes run can't end there.
No, 100%, man. I mean, they really teased it. A lot of shenanigans in that main event, so you know something got to lead to something. And the way Bryan they did the tap. That's what everybody was waiting on right there, man. So we got the tap out. Nobody saw it, and then once Edge broke it all up, you just know this got to lead to an angle on SmackDown. They can't let it hang like this. So we might be getting Bryan in the main event of Mania, just as we've been hoping for, man. It got to lead to it. There's no other way around it.
It really, and I tell you, you can never trust them. And I even talked to you about this maybe like 3 or 4 weeks ago with the idea, okay, you want to Edge at his best is when he's a heel. And this version of Edge, it's okay. You got that legend status. He's interesting on that level. You're rooting for him on his return and everything like that. But he's not anywhere near as interesting as he is as a heel. But you can't. And then we also talked about how this is a weird setup. I don't know if Edge is the right person to be in this. You want Roman to win. And if you want to give a happy ending, is it really to give it to Edge, a guy that's been away? He's as uber as a part-time as you can. So maybe the best way you protect everybody is you put a guy like Daniel Bryan in there. And I wondered, okay, would they go turning Edge a little bit? And it felt like that at the end. This is mine, pulling the hair, everything. This is mine. And even him getting kind of butthurt about the tag match not happening at Fastlane, Bryan getting involved. It would seem like a waste to get this far to just not go with it. You mentioned it perfectly. The tap that was in it, that was huge. That was key. But knowing WWE also, I feel like, in a week or so, we're going to get a Bryan versus Edge. Edge is, Bryan to prove he deserves to be there. He's going to fight for Edge's shot, and the Edge is just going to win anyway. And we're going to get what we maybe don't want.
Yeah, 100%. Like the way he was walking out, and you touched on it there, him almost with the selfish vibes, it wasn't the typical Edge babyface type of deal. It really felt like a heel on Edge. Yeah. And it's, pardon the pun, but it's like, they're really setting it up. They got all the pieces in place. Roman looked dominant through a big chunk of the match, so he's protected. Bryan was right there with him, even up to the end, got the tap out, he's protected. Edge took them both out, walked away, he's protected. And, all the characters were set up so nicely where all the pieces are in place, where they got to go with the logical triple threat. And think about what a great match that's going to be. You know what I mean? If they don't give it to us at this point, it'll almost be a disappointment because the fans want to see it. These are 3 quality guys, 3 of the best WWE has ever had on every level. And this will be a featured main event that they could really hang this Mania on.
Yeah, and it's just, if you were going to, because it's a 2-night event, I'm guessing it's probably Drew and Lashley is going to be night 1. I'm not really sure about that, and I almost feel Lashley could win. And then night 2, WrestleMania often, more times than not, wants to end with a happy ending. I get you want to have Roman still continue to look strong, but at some point he has to lose. He's beating everybody, but the best way to protect him is you have Daniel beat Edge, or I guess you want to have Edge beat Daniel, whatever. Not so. It feels like it just makes too much sense. We'll circle back to this. Okay, Jess Maldonado is already in Facebook quote. Team Edge, but right now she says Team yes. Devon Hughes. Who's Devon Hughes? Is that Devon Dudley's name in real life?
Oh, yeah, I think she's giving him a little shout out there. Hopefully he's paying attention, man.
A random Devon shout out. I don't get that, but fair enough, Jess. Fair enough. Now let's circle back. Let's go back to the beginning of the show. I made notes throughout the event, and we'll start with what was it? It was let me go back to my notes here. Bianca Belair and the Sasha thing. First question I have for you is Sasha going to turn before or at WrestleMania? Because it seems too damn obvious at this point.
I think she's turning before, and I think that's what they're going to build a story around. I mean, we've seen the old story about can the rivals get along before their big match, and that's kind of what this whole Fastlane lead up has been to. And now that the match is out of the way, they can just go ahead and build a feud proper.
Yeah.
And the way to do that is to just go ahead and turn Sasha. You know, they've been leading up to it. She's great as a freaking heel, and that'd be a great way to showcase Bianca, which is the obvious direction they're going for. But it's interesting. It's like, you know, it's no, you know, in years past, you think they'd be obviously be setting up to to crown Bianca as the new champ, but it's not a given here. I can see a scenario where Sasha retains, especially with the whole rookie thing. You know, it's like they kind of not really introduced, but really highlighted that tonight.
Yeah, I like
and
that.
if nothing else, you know, Sasha can exploit that and maybe extend the feud, maybe throughout, you know, the spring months, maybe to SummerSlam, maybe a little bit sooner. But either way, it's not a definitive, you know, ending that Bianca's going to get the win here, and that makes the feud more interesting.
I love that's an excellent point. Bring up the rookie thing. She started doing, I think, a little bit maybe SmackDown this week or the week before, and it's a great, like, I'm the veteran, I'm the established star, I'm the EST before you ever even got here kind of thing, and forcing that storyline out. Yeah, I mean, I'm not against if Bianca was to beat a babyface Sasha, and then, you know, Sasha turns that way. But yeah, it feels like if we're gonna build the best match possible, could be with a heel version of Sasha. But it's like, the only thing I didn't like about how that all finished was the Sasha like finger in the face, then mushed her, and then Bianca did nothing. I didn't like that. I wish Bianca would have, you know, defended herself. Like, this is a fake world, you know, like this is all make believe, but she, you know, her character is to be tough. She's not scared of anybody. So to kind of back down and kind of wither away, like, oh, shock slap face, you know, like that bothered me a little bit. I wasn't too sure about that. But I mean, great point. Rookie thing, that's really one of the better things I liked about that, where they're going, and I'm excited to see where it goes.
Yeah, for sure. And, you know, real quick to touch on that, I wish she had leaned a little bit more into it, to the way that she was in NXT. Like, I love the interactions last year with, like, when they were building up Rhea and Charlotte, Bianca got involved and, you know, really started playing up that whole, oh, I know she, you know, like that kind of a character. So I wish she'd kind of played that up a little bit more. Maybe they told her to tone it back a little bit, but I really wish she'd go all out. That'd be a great counterpoint to Sasha and her heel character.
Yeah,
and,
now
yeah, I'm sorry. And just real quick, looks like Jess gave us another shout out. The boss is a heel is the way to go. She's absolutely right. You know what I mean? And Jess knows a little thing about that too.
The only thing, it feels like there's an imbalance though. I feel like there's too many female heels on SmackDown now. Like, somebody's got to turn. Like, is it going to be Carmella? Carmella's not an interesting babyface though.
Yeah, not really, you know, and Carmella's in a weird floating position right now, to where it's like she was with Reginald, and that kind of blew up now. So it's like, what is Carmella really doing right now? And I mean, we can touch on Reginald a little bit later, you know, if we once we I guess we can touch on it now. We're talking about the tag match, but Reginald has been like the secret ingredient in all of this, man. Like, he's been such an interesting to this whole mix, even with the Nia stuff. Like, you know, that was kind of, you know, the fun little interesting stuff, and he can go in the ring. So it seems like he's being showcased and kind of primed for something a little bit bigger, which I don't mind. He's been really entertaining so far.
How about this idea? And it may be the time. She's kind of in limbo right now. She doesn't have anything for WrestleMania. And it would be intriguing to finally see her go back. And I believe that is the PWI Female Performer of the Year. What about Bayley? Oh, no, maybe she was second place. I don't know. But Bayley going back to a face. Is this the time for it? She always seemed to be kind of like weird, competitive, friendly, but hater relationship with Bianca. Maybe this is the time to get ding dong babyface Bayley.
Interesting point, man. It could really work too, because I mean, you know, the whole thing with the her being a babyface was just really starting to wear a little bit thin. But now that she added so many more things to the repertoire, if she were to turn now, I think she'd be much more accepted as a babyface. That whole smarmy, you know, cowardly babyface, or even just being a smartass. Bayley could pull that off, man. And she's super talented in the ring, so yeah, for sure.
Now, going on from that, the following match was a good match, ended all kinds of weird, all kinds of, I don't want to say botchy, but something went wrong in the execution of the end. That was Apollo and Big E, which I thought was a good solid match. Loving this version of Big E, this ruthless aggression almost style of Big E. This is the version of Big E. Like, I think we finally, when they were going through the storyline, okay, you're a singles competitor, oh, you're a comedy guy, you always want to be fun, and he showed these tougher layers. This is, I think, where they wanted to really go. This kind of way of talking, this kind of way of anger, emotion. This is a guy I can see headlining pay-per-views against Roman Reigns and being a world champion. Like, this is a fascinating guy, and we've talked about it. Apollo being great. Like, what were your thoughts on just what happened at the end there? And does it hurt? Because they're clearly going to continue this feud, it seems like. Does it hurt this feud, which is kind of starting to wear thin a little bit because they've been going at it for a while now? Does it hurt it going into WrestleMania 2 weeks left? Or maybe that's the benefit of doubt. It's only a couple weeks away instead of like a month away.
Yeah, I mean, the short window might benefit them a little bit. It'll kind of make this go way a little bit faster because it's going to have to work towards Mania. The finish just kind of came out of nowhere, and it does suck. They really do deserve better than that. But I think what might help them out here is the goodwill that both of them have. Yeah. Big E, there's no other way to put it. His feet were put to the fire, kind of separating him from New Day, which everybody kind of was worried about at the time. But he's passed the test with flying colors. Yeah. He's legit one of the biggest single stars that SmackDown does have. And like you said, a future main eventer tomorrow if they wanted to. And Apollo's always had the talent in the ring. He just needed the character to hang his hat on, and he definitely has that now. This character can be money if they treat it the right way. They just got to be really careful with this kind of treatment with it. But it can still be salvaged. I don't think it's completely lost. But the ending tonight really did kind of, put a damper on things, to what's been otherwise a really good build-up.
Yeah, and I don't think there's too much more that we can cover on that one. I mean, this is still to be determined. It's still going to go. I thought maybe the right road would have been to probably have Apollo win and then Big E to try to get the payback at WrestleMania. They didn't go with that. Maybe they were supposed to, and something went wrong. It's hard to say. But moving on from there, I'm over it. I'll let you start on this. I know what the love affair is because he's the son, but Jesus, I don't need Shane McMahon in an important match at WrestleMania. I mean, am I right? I mean, come on. I don't need Shane McMahon at WrestleMania again. Am I crazy?
Dude, just by that lead up, I knew what the hell you were leading into. Yeah. And it's like, they're treating him like a special attraction every year. And, when he first came back, everybody was so happy to see him. And Shane's always been, he's been down to do the craziest stuff. So it's always been fun to see. But like I said, we're all kind of over it now. For him to be showcased when people like AJ are kind of in a tag match, you know what I mean? And there's a lot of other talented cats that can do the job. Even Elias, you know what I mean? Elias tonight, I love Elias, and I tweeted about it earlier that Elias is plug and play. You can put him in with anybody at any time, and it's an instant feud. You know what I mean? His character can just, when he sings about it, his whole dynamic just really lends itself well. And I really would rather see Elias get a showcase like this than Shane, man. It's a shame, and people are kind of over it. He doesn't have the appeal of like a Taker, every year at Mania. If Shane were to go away and not have another match, I don't think anybody would really miss him. It seems a little excessive at this point, man.
We got a comment from Jess here. Get him with Bad Bunny. No, I don't need any more Bad Bunny either. Bad Bunny can go the hell away as well. But I mean,
I don't know, bro. I think there's money there. I think it can happen, man. Get Bad Bunny with Shane McMahon. That might be the exception to the rule. Make that happen. I mean, and it'll give you an excuse to kind of walk away and get some snacks in the meantime while we're all just kind of like enjoying the match. You know what I mean? So
it's just like, and we talked about this a little bit. It's a tough spot to be a big man in WWE going into WrestleMania. Unless you're one of the monsters and you're in like a specific match, really just if you're in a title match, you're always putting weird matches. Even Undertaker, before the streak was a thing, he was putting those weird matches, Giant Gonzalez and all these kinds of things. And Braun is getting that too. He had the tag team titles with like a 12-year-old one year. Now he has this thing with Shane. Big Show went through the same stuff. He had the sumo wrestler. He won the sumo match. Floyd Mayweather. It's weird. Like the big men always put in weird spots. Like, but there's not a better thing. Like, especially it's weird. Like this, I was wondering, part of me, when Shane comes up lame, I was like, I wonder if they're gonna do something where he's gonna like introduce somebody. Like this would have, if almost hadn't been used yet, this might have been a great place to implement him and stuff like that. It's like the defender of Shane. And then they had Elias. I was like, okay, that'd be good, like maybe set Elias. And then instead, Elias is fed to Braun Strowman for really no good reason. He's really has been non-existent the last few weeks. Come in to just get fed so Shane can still have his WrestleMania moment. I mean, Is anybody out there, if people maybe watching this, like, are you really? Damn, I'm so pumped to see Shane this year. I've been waiting for a Shane McMahon match, man. I've been waiting for a glorified Stunner match. Like, I feel bad.
All five of you. All five of you, we know you're out there. Please come to the comments and explain to us why you want to see Shane McMahon on an annual basis. We're dying to know. But honestly, you're totally right.
Yeah.
And it's so weird, like just to touch on real quick, despite the love affair that WWE seems to have with big men, when was the last time a big man got a true proper showcase as the top guy? You know what I mean? Like, like a Kevin Nash Diesel type of run.
Yep.
Yeah, like you said, like Big Show was always like a transitional champion.
Yeah.
Kane, the same thing. Taker had his runs, but Taker never really leaded the belt. And then you get Strowman had maybe the most forgettable world title run of the last few years, which would it have even happened if Roman hadn't dropped out of Mania last year? Like, he'd still be waiting on that title run that people think he should have gotten a couple years ago when he was feuding with Roman in the first place. And now you have him in this gimmick match with Shane. It's so weird for somebody that's so much in WWE's wheelhouse to be kind of spinning their wheels like this. I just don't get it.
Yeah, it's a shame. Like, and you nailed it. That's what I was thinking too. At first I thought to myself, he just how do you come up beating Goldberg real quick, winning the title finally to this WrestleMania, but then I thought, he wasn't even supposed to be there. He was put in last minute. He wasn't even doing anything until he was available because he wasn't doing anything. He's already like underused, and now he really should obliterate Shane, or Shane, there better be some last minute, like it's Shane. Maybe it ends up being Shane, Elias, and Riker, a 3-on-1. And if that's the case, at least Elias gets his WrestleMania kind of match. Riker gets a moment. Hopefully it's something like that. But either way, like Shane, he better jump off of a building or something. Otherwise, get the fuck out of here, Shane. But I mean,
Raymond James does have some pretty high altitude. Hey, the pirate ship is right there. He can shoot himself out of the cannon. You know what I mean? He can go for the top sail.
Falls on him. If the pirate ship can fall on Shane, and we don't know what happens from Shane, and he disappears for a while, then that might be worth it.
That'll work. And then, for some reason, you get Tom Brady in a pirate hat just coming up to celebrate too.
Oh, no. We already got Bad Bunny. We don't need Tom Brady. We don't know, please. Anyway, and going away from that now, there were, the show started with some weirdness. Like I said, Bianca, Sasha. That match was actually good, solid. Paulo and Biggie was solid, weird end. Then we get the nonsense with Shane. But moving on from there, Rollins Shinsuke. I mean, if not for the insanity that was McIntyre and Sheamus, this is match of the night for me. These guys, I don't know how much they've wrestled in the past. Maybe they have. I feel like they've been on different brands for the most part, and their chemistry was great. There was not a missed move in this match. Just fluid, great. It just made me disappointed. Like, Jesus, I need to see more of this. Like, I'm sure Cesaro and Rollins will be great. This is great, like, and just personality-wise, what Cesaro lacks, Shinsuke has in spades, despite being English, not being his strongest thing. But love this match, really good, really, wanted more. Just disappointed. I'm not gonna at all get any more.
Nah, 100%, man. It's no surprise that these two nailed it. These are two of the best they got. And I love the renewed focus on Shinsuke this year. You know what I mean? He's way too talented to be just another member of the roster. So even if it's just a transitional feud to get to Cesaro and Seth, it's good to see him get this kind of showcase and remind everybody that this dude is one of the best to ever do it, period. For anybody out there who hasn't watched his New Japan stuff, go and watch that. Do yourself the favor. Yeah. But like, the chemistry they had, you absolutely nailed it, man. If they revisit this down the line, absolutely, please give us more than that. Just inject it straight into our veins, man. Because tonight's match was just the tip of the iceberg of what they can do. And both of these cats are just uber talented in the ring. Seth has been nailing his character work for so long now. And it's just like, it's almost on like a monthly basis. He changes up a little bit of it. He's back to the old theme song now. Left the Messiah stuff, which was awesome already. And then Shinsuke, just naturally charismatic and back to his, kind of NXT babyface kind of role. They can really revisit this down the line, even though, it's great to see Cesaro finally getting, such attention from, such much needed attention from the longest time. But this is something they need to go back to.
And just before we move on to the next part, I just want to throw out there, if you're watching this now or you're going to watch this tomorrow or during the week or whatever on YouTube and stuff like that, please like, follow, subscribe wherever you are watching this. Throw us a follow. You know, YouTube, follow, subscribe. You know, also Spotify, wherever you're listening to this, maybe subscribe, follow. But now moving on to the match tonight. Clear match tonight, even though the main event was good. And I like the main event because it was slow build. It felt like a classic big championship match. It had a big moment feel. It had a big moment feel to the end. Like they really hooked me in. But I mean, Sheamus and McIntyre beat the shit out of each other. I mean, talk to me about this whole thing. Just they best friends and friends in general and pro wrestling just beat the shit out of each other.
Dude, Hoss fight with a capital Hoss. Dude, they brought it, man. And it was just the classic big man versus big man, because these dudes are like beefy dudes, and they brought it tonight, man. You can see it, the welts on the back, the whole thing. It's just incredible stuff. This is what hardcore matches should be like. You know what I mean? It's like the weapons that got involved. It all made sense. They made great use of the arena. You could really feel the hatred between the two. You know what I mean? They really sold the feud. Yeah. And their history built into it just adds so much to it. These are two legit dudes that have known each other for 20 years. They came up on the circuit together, broke into WWE together, all that good stuff. So it just adds even more to it. But this was an amazing, amazing fight. For people that, kind of rag on these kind of wrestlers, man, Sheamus and McIntyre are two of the best for their size, for their agility, for everything like that they bring to the table. And this fight tonight was a great showcase for both of them, man. I mean, McIntyre is going to go on to big things, with the match with Lashley. But Sheamus shouldn't be forgotten in this, man. He shined up McIntyre like a new penny tonight, and they both came out looking really good.
And I think this transition is kind of where it was going. Not to take away from talking about the fight, but the match, but just shined up McIntyre. And that's the weird thing about this event. A lot of really good talent that could be main event or just title holder talent were used to prepare someone else going into WrestleMania, and they are left with nothing really. First being Shinsuke. What's going on with Shinsuke? Shinsuke has no plans. What's he going to be? Cesaro's corner? I mean, good Lord. This guy was in a title fight not too long ago at WrestleMania. Now he's just kind of in limbo. When we're back to babyface, like, just come on. He should be doing something. Two, Elias is brought back, just used to elevate fucking Strowman, which he didn't need any elevation. It just he was used. Another one is we're still left to be determined in terms of Brian. If Brian does not get in the main event, what the hell is he doing? I do not want to see him against Jey Uso. So I'm really hoping they didn't waste this to get him in. And then Sheamus. I mean, I'm not a huge Sheamus guy, but what he's done in these matches has been great. These have been great matches. And it seems a shame that this storyline was wasted, especially if they do the same thing, Brian. But this storyline we know is not going to set up anything in WrestleMania, and just a real good storyline that was kind of wasted to just elevate McIntyre. And while Lashley's champion, it just seems a shame. Like, this would have been a great title feud. I mean, I don't want to poo-poo on the feud, but it just seems like it could have been better placed somewhere else during the year.
No, you're absolutely right, man. And it really is so weird, because this would feel like such an even bigger waste if it wasn't for the fact that Lashley's champ, and that's been a long time coming. Yeah. But it was so weird to have such, McIntyre in such a showcase tonight and not a peep from the champ. You know what I mean? Like, no Lashley involvement whatsoever. And I'm sure that's going to, change, starting tomorrow night. But yeah, it's just such a waste with the history and all the story, that if the Sheamus McIntyre dynamic was for the title, that could have easily been a Marquee Mania matchup. And now we're going to get McIntyre versus Lashley, which is awesome. But like you said, where does that leave Sheamus? In the same group as the cats that you mentioned? Like, WWE has an A-list level roster with absolutely nothing to do. Yep. And, being that Mania is 2 nights, that's so strange that that's the case, but it seems the reality of it.
Yeah, and it's just a shame. And we talked about on our own, just the disappointment in the fact that AJ Styles is going to be in a tag title match. Like, no disrespect to New Day. New Days are legends and everything like that. Right. But to be a tool to help elevate Omos and make him interesting and a tag. I mean, it's great for the New Day. They get in a fun fight, but it's just like, damn, man, AJ is one of their elites. Like, you just got to use him in a tag title match. Sheamus is kind of just in limbo. Shinsuke is in limbo. Daniel Bryan's still up in the air. He can be left in limbo. Elias, it just seems damn unfortunate. I mean, and going from that, talking about limbo, because I think that's where the Fiend arrived from limbo somewhere or hell. Thoughts on Fiend goes to hell burnt version of the Fiend?
It's pick your poison at this point, man. Did he look like Fiend goes to hell? Are we looking like burnt Chucky Fiend? Are we looking like Freddy Fiend?
Yeah.
That was something else, man. Now you know that WWE has been looking to do something like this for the longest time, and the pandemic has kind of given them the excuse to go the very high entertainment route with the edits, with the teleporting, with everything like that. So you know that they're loving this.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, I don't want to completely dump on it because I love Bray. I love the Fiend. I love all the character work and stuff. But this was, you know, you can't help but laugh at it. As entertaining as it was, I'm sure this was not the effect that they were going for. But you know, props to everybody for being committed, man. Randy has been selling it like a champ. You know, the revival of Papa Shango with the black stuff coming out his mouth, and you got, you know, and real quick, though, on a serious tip, though, Alexa, you know, has been really, really good in this. Really fun. Yeah. She's really embraced the role. She was like the perfect, you know, person to carry this forward. Mm-hmm. And the questions were like, all right, you know, Alexa versus Randy, obviously they're not gonna have like a straight up fight. So what were they gonna do? Mm-hmm. So the supernatural stuff, the lights falling down from the ceiling and everything like that was, you know, hokey as hell. But that's the fun of wrestling, man. They can get away with stuff like that. So, you know, I'm not completely mad at it. If nothing else, it just adds another element to just, you know, more than just the wrestling stuff. But it brings a smile to your face for the reasons that they might not have been intending to.
And it like you said it, like it was cool, like the theatrics, the elements they added, all the different stuff, and it was entertaining in that way. And when the Fiend hand pops up, I digged it. You know, I'm just glad to see. I wasn't sure if they would just still not show him; it would just be effects or whatever. I'm glad. I felt it took too long for him to return. I don't think it should have been this long, but glad to see him return. But just, I guess, and perfect example. I hope that, you know, I love this look. I even have the fucking Funko Pop. This guy's look is awesome. The mask is awesome. The weird striped pants, everything is awesome. So to get away from that and to possibly have him be this weird burnt, like I'm really hoping he's not going to be this weird Jason Goes to Hell burnt version, because I didn't really like the look. It was just to go from this awesome look to that, it disappoints me a little bit. I'm hoping there's some oddness and he sacrifices a wrestler, maybe someone from the performance center, and he gains he uses their tears and he gets his powers back and he gets his look back. But if we're gonna get burnt Fiend going forward, I don't know. I don't know.
And not for nothing, was that a Shield vest he was wearing? A burnt version of, like, you know, not that Roman is shirtless. Maybe he just, you know, picked up the vest and was like, oh, I can use this. Let me just get a little flame going, a little Charles Royal, and put that on, and boom, a new look.
Instead of let me in, let's wear this. And he just threw it on, like, you know, it, just like the idea, oh, everything's black because it was burnt. Like I don't know. I felt like if you're gonna go that angle, like just have his clothes and it just seemed more apparent it's his stuff, but just burnt. It just seemed like he was wearing somebody else's clothes. Like he went to this place where everybody's burned, and he found the lost and found box, and it was burnt clothes. Like, oh, I can't wear mine. I guess I'll wear. I don't know. It looked like a paramedic outfit. I don't know what the hell that was, but
hey, we can give him some credit. Maybe there's a thrift shop in hell, you know, and he got a nice little discount on it, and, you know, threw something together. Boom, there we go.
Hopefully that's what it is, but I'm hoping they change that. Glad he's back, though. Missed the Fiend. It's a fascinating character, and I get why you kind of maybe need to have these breaks of what they've turned him into. But for me, more Fiend, more Bray Wyatt. The more you can get, the better. Him being away for this amount of time was a little disappointing and stuff like that. But I mean, and that was the majority of it. Any kind of final thoughts? Overall thoughts, like as the event as a whole, if you graded it on, you know, A to F kind of thing, and two of the most standout moments for you.
If I were to go to grade route, probably about a B- sounds about right. You know, kind of middle of the road. There was some stuff that, you know, the ending to Apollo and Big E kind of brings it down a little bit. Yes. You know, a lot of question marks. Like you said, the missing pieces of like Shinsuke and Sheamus. What do they do now? But the highlights got to be the hardcore match. You know, I mean, Sheamus and McIntyre definitely brought it. Drew looks awesome. You know, Drew's been one of the best booked baby faces they've had in a while, and that continues.
Very much.
It's been awesome. Big E looking great, and you know the feuds that they did set up, you can kind of get excited for. You know, I mean, Bianca and Sasha is going to be fun. Brian, you know, with the shenanigans in the main event, that's going to be interesting to watch. So if nothing else, you know, it gives us reason to check out the shows leading up to Mania. Nothing's really completely set in stone. There's still some questions they can answer. So, you know, if that was the job of this pay-per-view, then, you know, mission accomplished.
And one of the things, also, let me throw out there again, wherever you're listening to this, where you ever watch this, like, subscribe. It's Spotify, Jason Burgos Back Talk on YouTube, Spotify, Amazon Music, wherever you're listening and watching this. But going back to if this, and I could believe it too, just based off of rumors and things I've been reading, we've been reading, seeing that this WrestleMania is one of the least planned out WrestleManias in advance in a long time. Like they don't have a lot of clear paths. Usually it's, you know, it's by Royal Rumble. There's at least 2 or 3, and maybe the main match are kind of general idea where they're going, or if not set in stone. And you can feel it, like this road to WrestleMania, especially just 2 weeks away. It's one of the weaker roads to WrestleMania. That's not to say there aren't some interesting matches to come. There are some good matches, but I'm just not feeling quite as excited. Now, if Brian makes his way into the main event, I'm pumped. I'm excited. That's going to be an interesting match and stuff like that. But it just feels like one of the weaker setups, you know, and because of that, I actually would probably give the event maybe a C+. I think I would have went B- to you if the Big E Apollo finish didn't go as it was. Like C+, B-. I think B- is fair too. And for me, standouts, without a doubt, they give me hope with Brian. They're gonna keep giving me fucking hope with Brian until they break my damn heart with him. And then outside of that, probably just like we talked about before, the people that are kind of in limbo that are big names, that's surprising. And I think you nailed it perfectly. The damn thing is going to be 2 nights. They better get these people some matches and some good matches.
100%, man. You know, don't let that go to waste. You know, they can't all just be title matches. I'm sure there's some interesting matches they can make up around it. They can't all just end up in the Andre the Giant Battle Royal, man. They can do a little better than that, you know. Come on. But
any interesting matches you think that they haven't said? Like I'm feeling like, especially with Money in the Bank out of the way, and they use it for an event, which I'm cool with. They adds more to those matches, but I'm feeling like the tag title is maybe going to end up in like a 4-way TLC. And if they did something like that with those, not that we've talked about a bunch how much we feel Bobby Roode is being wasted next to the black hole that is Dolph Ziggler. No disrespect, Dolph, sorry. But that team, loving Gable and Otis, loving what they're doing with them. Who would have thought Otis is a bad guy is an interesting fit, and it's working. Street Profits talking a bad guy. I think Street Profits need to go heel. That's, you know, me personally. And then Ray and Dominic in like a 4-way triple TLC. That's a hell of a event filler, and that match could be great. I'm hoping they're going in something that kind of direction.
Oh yeah, absolutely, man. Make that happen. That screams multi-team match. Because you know, let's be honest, you know, like Roode and Ziggler aren't exactly the most interesting champions to be carrying something on their own. So to make this that kind of chaotic match where a lot of spots, you know, a lot of memories are made. You can see, you know, Montez jumping off a ladder. You can see Dominic getting his Mania moment. A lot of intrigue could be built into that. So definitely make that happen. It'll be a benefit to everybody involved. And if somebody's going to get crowned new champions, that'll be a really great time for them to do it and kind of, you know, really get their moment.
Where do you think they're going with Riddle? I mean, we already saw that, you know, they kind of break up with Retribution and stuff like that, which is more overdue. But Keith Lee, if there was a recent post he made on social media where he was talking about, he said, "Oh, I'm happy for everybody's support." You know, kind of just alluding like to you'll know soon what's going on. And then the fact that his girlfriend Mia Yim had COVID at one time, you wonder if he's got COVID. If for the MMA fans out there watching, we've seen these performers in MMA that got COVID and still have it take months to recover. We've seen it also in the big 4 sports too. You're wondering if he's recovered, but I'm hoping if he can recover, I would love Keith Lee versus Matt Riddle in a match. I think that'd be the perfect way to go with the U.S. title.
Yeah, no, 100%. You know, anybody who's seen them on the indie circuit or in like PWG places like that, man, you know, that bring that match to Mania, and you got an instant winner. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and Keith Lee has a ton of support. He has a ton of fandom, and Riddle has been super entertaining. Like him with the scooter backstage, just doing the nonsense, cutting through Retribution, who R.I.P. Retribution, but they never stood a chance. Good Lord Almighty. But glad they put that out the pasture. But yeah, no, if they do just straight up Riddle Lee, that would be amazing in its own right. And like, even if they kind of go the multi-man route with Riddle as well, that could be fun too. Maybe that's where you kind of pigeonhole Sheamus into. Yeah, better than just throwing him into Battle Royal. But if nothing else, they've been showcasing Riddle kind of really well, especially since it felt so strange that he won the U.S. title from Lashley, and like instantly Lashley's on to the world title picture.
Yeah.
So you almost kind of wonder, like you said, to your point, this being the least planned out Mania, at least according to reports, a lot of ad-libbing. It really feels like they've kind of been doing a lot of the stuff on the cuff. Riddle winning the belt off the cuff. Them having to kind of compensate for Keith Lee being out. Even like the Bryan thing kind of being shoehorned into the main event picture.
Yeah.
You kind of feel like they were hoping Edge would get just the hero's reception, and that wasn't the case.
Yeah.
So now to kind of save face, it's 2014 all over again, and here we have Bryan trying to kind of salvage it. So it'll be interesting what they do with Riddle, but if nothing else, he's been kind of carrying the torch with the U.S. title and not letting it be an afterthought. He's been a really entertaining part of Raw the last few weeks.
And last final note on the road to WrestleMania, we're going to be doing another podcast for WrestleMania Night 1. Maybe we'll do one in the night before, in the lead up or whatever, the week before. But last title up for grab. Is it almost a slam dunk? Is it likely to be like Charlotte seems to be? I don't know what's going on with Charlotte right now. And there's the news that she got this role in this Walking Tall pilot movie for USA that may end up, supposedly, allegedly, reports say that could end up being a TV show for USA. If you've watched the Stone Cold TV show on USA, she was a guest. I watched it. She talked about, she clearly said she is looking into acting and wants to be great at it. So she's looking into, I know her and Alexis did some guest spot on some kind of sitcom that's probably coming out, if it hasn't come out, the episode. So I don't know what's going on her. Is it, what would you say, what percentage would you say Asuka versus Rhea Ripley is going to be the Raw Women's title match, with Charlotte kind of up in the air? What's happening with her?
That seems like a pretty high percentage at this point, man. I'd go above 50, probably like 60, 70 at this point, especially with the stuff with Andrade going on. That seems to be adding a little more intrigue to that. So if they just pivot to Rhea, even if this was off the cuff, because all of a sudden she's getting called up to Raw, she doesn't even had a showcase yet. So it's like, all right, just full steam ahead basically with Rhea.
Yeah,
it'd be totally fine, because for one, Rhea's awesome. And she, this is a long overdue call up, and Asuka's incredible. So you can tell this is going to be a real physical match. So if they pivot to Rhea and kind of, see the writing on the wall with Charlotte and have her just kind of phased out a little bit, or if nothing else, maybe a number one contenders match where Charlotte kind of does the favors for Rhea that Rhea did for Charlotte last year at Mania, because, Charlotte getting the win, that could be doable too. And all of a sudden Rhea's a viable candidate to take the title at Mania. And then you got a new superstar female on Raw until Becky comes back, or until they figure out what happens to Charlotte.
And just Rhea versus Asuka, if you tell somebody that, just the sound of it, man, that sounds like a good match. Sounds like a really entertaining physical match. But with 2 weeks to go, and she's just going to debut this Monday, I still feel that's probably likely the match, but Jesus, that is just rushed as all hell. I get it. And then we've seen clearly by the ratings, like, not everybody that's watching Raw SmackDown's watching NXT. Do they even remember Rhea's feud with Charlotte last year? So to bring her back, like, oh yeah, wasn't she around last year? Like, and to put her in time, it's going to be seen, unless you're paying attention, you're a diehard fan, it's going to be an odd mix. But I mean, that's what are you gonna say?
Just really quick at the end here, they never really tied that together. So like most WWE feuds, that's been like so long forgotten. So to bring it back now would be so weird. And just real quick to touch on what Jess commented on at the bottom, I know how much she loves Bayley, so maybe have Bayley in both title matches. So it's double the Bayley. I know she loved that very much, and just kind of showcase Bayley as much as possible. That's a win-win for everybody involved.
Yeah, I agree. That is it for us. Like I said earlier, if you're wherever you're watching this, Spotify, YouTube, Amazon Music, Player FM, wherever you are, like, subscribe, follow, for more Jason Burgos Back Talk. We're going to do more wrestling in the future. You got MMA interviews and everything there. you first, Jose. Thank you so much for joining me for this entertaining conversation. If people are going to follow you, where are they following you on social media, and what's the information?
You can follow me at Stickman Cinema pretty much everywhere, man. Stickman Cinema on Facebook, Stickman Cinema on Twitter. Big movie talk. That's pretty much my thing, man. Love putting lists out there, getting interactive with people. So, throw me a follow and, give me a shout, man. Happy to interact with everybody. So, yeah, feel free. That's me.
Since you mentioned movies, who's your favorite to win Oscar Best Film, Best Actor, Best Actress? Because I know you follow all of this very closely.
The way it's looking, man, I think Nomadland is probably going to end up with Best Picture. My personal pick would probably be Judas and the Black Messiah. I thought that was an awesome flick and really well done. And I think Kaluuya is going to win Best Supporting Actor. Really happy to see that. So that's pretty cool. Best Actress seems like it's pretty up for grabs, but Best Actor, I don't know, man. It's kind of interesting because my boy Delroy Lindo, who I was really counting on from The Five Bloods, didn't get a nomination, but it seems like it's a lock for Chadwick, so can't be too mad at that. Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, which I haven't checked out yet, but heard great things about it. But it'd be nice for Chadwick to get that posthumous Oscar, and RIP to the man. He deserves that respect.
Yeah, very, very weak year for TV shows, Oscars, because of the pandemic. They didn't get the same kind of movie options and stuff like that. So, but it's been cool in that a lot of female directors, I think, were nominated. People of color got a lot of nominations and stuff like that. So in that way, you know what? It was a great year, and I dig that a lot of ways. But that is it for us. For me, you can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook under Jason Burgos MMA. Keep it locked to Jason Burgos Bag Talk for more content coming soon. For Jose, for me, bye-bye.
Boom.